Hi, Greg and Marlene. It's Nikki coming to you live today from Rome, Italy. Just dropping in to let your audience know that Legal Tech Hub is holding one of its mid-law events on September 3rd in Washington, D.C. Now, for those who don't know, our mid-law events are pitched at law firms from 20 to 250 lawyers, and they have wonderful content for the entire day for managing partners, office managers, lawyers, about how generative AI can be used to grow your business, how to deploy it, what kinds of solutions are available in the market. So for those interested, check out our events on Legal Tech Hub. LegalTechnologyHub.com is the URL. Use the little drop down for LTH events and you'll find the mid-law event in Washington, D.C. and you'll be able to register. Hope to see many of you there. Bye.
Welcome to the Geek in Review, the podcast focused on innovative and creative ideas in the legal industry. I'm Marlene Gabauer.
And I'm Greg Lambert.
So this week, we welcome back Kara Peterson and Rich D., also known as Rich DiBona, from Descrybe. Kara and Rich, it's so great to have you back on the Geek in Review.
Thank you. We're so happy to be back.
Super excited.
Well, we were calculating, and it's been 9 or 10 months since you were on last, but you have been really busy since we talked.
Gangbusters,
at the end of last
right?
year.
Yeah.
So Descrybe has grown quite a bit since then, and including into academia. So let's just kind of start off. Tell us what you've been up to, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about this push into law school since we last talked.
Yeah, that's great. And I don't remember if I said this the last time I was on, but I actually worked in a law school once. I was the marketing director.
Survived.
I did. And I was the marketing director at Suffolk Law School here in Boston, which I'm sure a lot of people know. They have some awesome technology, like innovative thinkers there, and they have for a long time. So I feel like I got the bug when I was there. So I feel like this is kind of full circle. So, and then I worked in higher education for a long time. But anyway, so this was at Tech Show, right, Rich? We were at Tech Show when this happened, right? I think
I'm not sure.
you don't know what I'm talking. You don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
It'll be a surprise. Yeah. So we were at Tech Show, and which was really a great place for us to be, like, because it was like the right market and all this stuff. And we met a guy named Doug Lusk, he's the CEO of the National Society for Legal Technology. And he was scoping out and talking to different legal research companies, legal research providers there, because he had a space to fill on his curriculum that goes out to about 350 universities. He does law schools and paralegal programs across the world. Actually, it's like, I think 11 countries. But anyway, so we started talking with him, and we were first on his list for who would fill the shoes of case text, because case text is no longer, as folks know, probably listening to this, offering free search. So so we are officially rolling out this fall into a legal curriculum that's, again, in 350 schools. And we have some pretty good company in that program, and happy to tell you more if you're interested.
Yeah, I think we'll touch on that a little bit later. But I want to talk about the Cytator.
Yeah.
So that offers issue level citation analysis. So, I mean, that's really quite different than traditional citators. So, but how do you ensure accuracy in the ambiguous legal context? So, like, mixed treatment cases, are human validators part of that process?
Yeah, I mean,
is it you?
No, we definitely.
Rich D, the human.
We're
Rich
lucky.
D?
Yes, Rich D. That's I have my DJ name on there. Sorry.
That's right.
We actually have advisors who are legal librarians and people at university, and most of them are academics. So we've done a lot of testing with them, but it's a lot of trial and error. Like, before we did anything, it took like 2 months just to get things right, because what we did was just analyze, I think it's close to 30 million citations to see what the treatment was. And then you find ones where it's like, it cites a case, but it's really like a parenthetical for another case. And so it kind of confuses the AI, like this thing was overruled. And so it thinks it was overruled, but no, it's the other case that overruled it. So you kind of have to just work through a lot of these edge cases. So it's just, a long and arduous thing. One good thing is we're like a tier 5 open AI provider from all the money we've given them. And
Yeah,
so,
Sam calls us once a week to say thank you for
yeah,
how the money we're spending
yeah,
on,
I wish.
tokens.
But
Yeah.
we have access to some of those advanced models that are super expensive to run. And so you could actually use, like, you paste in things that seem to be ambiguous, like, and ask it, like, what would you say the treatment is? And I would do this against like several different models and say, like, what do you think the treatment is? And then if then you kind of just work on things. It's just so gradual. It's not just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, that I just kind of became a big blur. But yeah.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Else.
Let me follow that up a little bit. So if I'm a researcher, a lawyer, a librarian, and I'm on Describe and I'm using Cytator, what's going to be the big difference that I'm going to see as I'm using it compared to other tools I may be using? What's going to stand out to me?
I think the main thing that'll stand out is that you see the citator treatments in every search result. So you don't have to click a button that says treat, or, to quote the trademark name Shepherd Eyes or anything. You see that the treatment's right in line with all of our search results. So it kind of tells you right at a glance what's happening. So that's because we like did everything. We're not calling LLMs when people use our platform. And I think that's a big difference for all of our platform is when you make a request to Describe, we're not calling an LLM and then giving you the results back from the LLM. We did all that work up front. So
And so
does that make sense? Go ahead, Car.
yeah, and from the use, Rich obviously is the technical side, so he answers these things in sort of like the technical perspective. Exactly. No, we're also just back from a big conference, but anyway, so for the user's perspective, it has a couple new features too that don't. I mean, we're not going to say they don't exist elsewhere because that's always not smart to say because we don't really know. But there's a couple different ways that our citation sort of process works, which includes the issue level citation and the backwards citator. So in some ways you have different ways to look at the same question. And of course, where the real differentiator comes in is when you're paying for it, when you're paying for your monthly cost. But Rich, maybe tell them a little bit about how the issue level and the backwards work, because that is pretty unique.
Yeah. So since we were going in and analyzing all of these treatments across the 30 million things, we decided, instead of just saying how the whole case gets treated by this citing case, so when one case cites the other, like how did it treat the whole case, we said, what issues did it treat on and how did it treat those issues? So we found a lot of examples where it will follow on some issues and then overrule just on one particular issue. So it's like it likes that case for some things, but not for this one thing. But in a lot of cases, the whole case gets overruled in the indicator. So there may still be issues you can use from that case, but you just it gives you more specificity in your research. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now talk about the backwards citator.
Okay. So the backwards citator. So when typically the way a citator works is it's how cases that cited the case going forward treated the case. But what we did, because we had this data, is when the judges wrote the case, what cases did they cite and how did they treat them? So you see what they were thinking in history. So like with Plessy versus Ferguson, for example, if you look at the backwards citator, it'll have a whole bunch of cited cases about like segregation on railroad cars and separate but equal. And it follows all those things because that was the way things were done. So the backwards citator is all these followed cases. But then going forward, the forward citator on that is obviously all overruled with Brown versus Education, and segregation is really bad and all that. So so you kind of see what happened with the judges thinking at the time. It might be more for researchers, but it was something that we thought was really cool, so we just decided to give it to everybody.
Yeah, because once you have that data set, like, and that's what we've been playing with, and a lot of the other things, like some of the legal issue analysis and all the stuff that's in the legal research toolkit, like there's almost like endless things you can do. And of course, that's easy for me to say because I'm not the one building them. But there's the kind of endless ways to parse and look at that data and understand it and find like deep legal research rabbit holes to fall down. And it's pretty cool. And I have to say, like, that's what people seem to get pretty excited when they see how that works. Because in the past, that was humans that had to do that kind of work, and it was to do that kind of analysis, and it was cost prohibitive, so nobody did it.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
into the oh, sorry, Marlene.
No, you go ahead.
Just one last sentence into the earlier point about not calling the LLM. Like you could go down these rabbit holes in like 1 second. So you just could click around and see everything like as fast as you're using Google or something, as opposed to click, wait 40 seconds. Oh, click again, wait 40 seconds, all that. So
I'm just thinking about this backwards citator. It's like, it's kind of like a storytelling mechanism where you can kind of see where break happened and then be able to explain, in your argument why those breaks happened. Or you can kind of look over time at a number of, similar decisions and sort of see, the paths that they've taken. So, I mean, that's kind of my analytic hat coming on.
have you ever seen anything like that before?
Have you, Greg?
Doesn't sound familiar. We kind of did some things like this when I was at the Oklahoma Supreme Court years ago, but not nearly this complex.
So Greg beat you to it.
Yeah.
Good job, Greg.
We called
Well
ours
done.
the citationizer. So.
There you go. Yeah, don't sue us for copyright, please.
Citationizer.
The citationizer.
The citationizer.
I love
it. The running joke was at the time there was a company called Lois Law, and right after we came out with Citationizer, they basically did the same thing and called it the Loisizer.
Oh my gosh!
I forgot about that.
I thought
you were kidding.
Because our thing is called, our brief checker is called the Citationator.
Yeah.
So I thought you were doing like a riff on that. That's so funny.
We definitely all are like comic book nerds in legal tech. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I had somebody who was throwing cool ideas my way too, and saying make this happen. So, Rich, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the toolkit, but before I jump in, Kara, you mind just kind of giving us a broad overview of the toolkit and what it offers?
Sure. So, folks that know us will know that we have a free tool, and we started out free. So for like the first 2 years, we launched in summer of 2023, which was like, the stone age of AI at this point, right? And so we had a free search, and we still do. But it became clear over time that, professionals need obviously different level of tools. And the first thing that was always sort of pointed out in a helpful way, but also realizing if we wanted to have a serious tool we'd have to deal with this was the citator itself, right? Or something that could do this citation like that. So it pretty quickly became clear that we needed to create a professional level tier. And so that's exactly what we did. We created what we call the Legal Research Toolkit, and it's a collection of maybe 18 or so different tools that are meant for people who need more advanced case law, research and analysis. And so that is what it's about. And we, sticking with our sort of hope to be increasing access to the law, we put it out at a price point that we thought was very, very reasonable for what you're getting, without compromising on the quality of the product itself. So kind of a win-win situation was the hope.
Yeah, and I was reading and leading up to this that you've had a good number of record-setting, I guess, number of paid signups since June. And so, what are the toolkit features that are driving the conversation, and how are you balancing, the monetization with the mission that you have about democratizing legal research?
Yeah, so Rich, why don't you tell about the tools? Because those are always fun, and then I'll talk about the other stuff, which is fun too.
I'm not sure. You're
You got
going
a
to
new
hear our
pod
dog.
dog. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
our dog on both of our microphones because we're in the same house. That's so you'll hear it in a little delay. But
Sorry, we'll have 2 pod dogs on today.
yeah, there you
I
go.
like it. I like it.
She's like an old hound with she's like 15-year-old hound who has the loudest bark. And when yeah. So
Well, she's just happy to have you back from Elta.
Exactly.
Just letting you know. That's all.
So I'm actually not sure what is driving people, what tools specifically are driving people to sign up. We know that people like, we have an legal issue explorer where you could just start typing in legal issues, like maybe like retaliation, document retention or something, and it'll show you all the cases that have that as an issue, or anything you could type in and it'll bring you up cases. We have the citator. I think it's hard to find a citator at this price point, so that might be a thing too. What we've heard anecdotally is that there's a bunch of lawyers who they have a need for legal research, but they can't justify paying for the $500 a month thing if they only need to do it a couple times a month or something. So they use ours, and then, yeah, what do you have to add to that, Cara?
Well, okay.
Cara always bails me out.
So this is again why the engineers are usually like not allowed out of their rooms. Because when someone says, why are people adopting your product? And you say, we don't know. Like, that's probably not the best answer. So,
Let's bring the
love you and all
marketing
that.
person in.
Yeah, love you and all that, honey. But yeah. Okay. So what we do know, so one of the reasons we don't know at that granular level is because we also don't track our users in the way like a lot of tools do. So we really kind of want to give people the freedom and the space to like use our tools without feeling like they're going to be getting like, monitored every second, and we're tracking them with cookies. So that's part of our value proposition, is we're very much like, hey, do what you want to do. Even our pricing, I probably shouldn't admit this, our pricing has 2 tiers, and if you're using it for non-commercial use, it's $10 a month. If you're using it for commercial, it's $20 a month. And you know how we check? We don't. We're just like, whatever, we trust you. If like if you're gonna game the system and you lose $10, like we'll survive. So what we do know is that people are converting like at a scale that's like increasing really rapidly, because people do find our case summaries through Google, which Rich can explain. But what we hear over and over and over isn't necessarily which particular tool it is. It's just how easy and intuitive and simple they are to use. Like, it doesn't mean maybe what the information that they get back is simple. Lord knows that like legal research is not simple, but it's so intuitive and so quick and fast and easy to use that I think that is the part. So it's a combination between the price point, the ease of use, and then the quality of the output that I think makes the magic sort of happen. And that's the marketer's answer.
And it's a good answer. Okay.
Thank you.
So, here's another opportunity to market. So our friend Bob Ambrogi had some very nice things to say about Describe lately. So I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Bob's awesome. Like he's another Boston guy. So we're up in Boston. He's up in Boston.
Nice, but we're a little nicer, I think.
Yeah.
You're totally nice. I mean, I've never been on his podcast. Let me put it that way. So you already beat him, Bob, if you're out there listening.
You're gonna get an invite You're gonna get an invite as soon as this comes out.
Better. But no, so he's great. And of course, like Boston thinks it's this big city. Let me tell you, it is not. Everybody is like a small place. We all know each other. So anyway, so Bob's been great, and he's been following our journey from the beginning. And we were in a startup alley and all that. Like at the tech show, we had a very funny startup alley experience, which is a whole separate story. But he's also a journalist, right? And he's a very serious journalist. And a lot of times in industries like this, or any really industry, there's people who write about stuff and that you're not sure what because you do a show, like sometimes you can take it on its face value. Sometimes you're not sure because it's like, as a person, whatever, more in the marketing space than the journalism space. But like Bob's the real deal. I don't think he says anything he doesn't think. So when he covered the release of the toolkit, he gave us a really nice sort of compliment in that we were poised to fill the space that case text is leaving in the market, in that there isn't another option really for affordable case law research like that. So that was really nice to read, because who doesn't want to be compared to a company that got sold for $650 million? But even more importantly than that is that, it's about the need, and the need is not gone. The need is still there. And so we're really happy to be able to even do a small part in filling that need.
So I want to follow up on that then. Are you exploring kind of other areas to fill that gap? So, beyond case law, like statutes and regulations, other things?
Yeah, I laugh just because poor Rich. Yeah, Rich, why do you? This is probably why he's like.
I know.
Tara has grand plans, so Rich,
I do.
why don't you take
Poor
this one?
guy.
I talked about like the 6-month dark place I went into for the citator stuff, and
You're going back in again.
Another one,
He's going in.
So we decided that what we need is beyond just case laws. We're actually pulling in. We're along in the process. We've done like the 10 biggest states, but we statutes, regulations, state constitutions, court rules, attorney general opinions, and there's one more, but
wasn't it trial?
Session laws.
Session laws.
Yeah, so we're pulling all those in and making them all searchable as well, so that you could kind of search across jurisdictions or types and just find things like, if you search for toxicology rules or something, it'll show you all the rules about how to deal with toxicology, or nursing homes, or amusement park rides, or however you would normally search for that. So it's just a way of getting.
That's a strange combination.
I know. I just thought that is toxicology and carnival rides probably goes together
in a nursing home.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably a case. If there's a case that exists about
like Mad
that,
Libs.
find it.
Yeah.
Describe.
That
Yeah,
is
right.
like Mad Libs. Yeah, so we're working on getting all of that in, because that's really hard to find too. And I'm not sure how many other platforms offer that aren't, a lot of money. So
Right.
yeah, so we're working on that, and we're doing some cool things to help make that really user friendly and easy to use. And then the key is, we don't plan on charging any more for it. We'll just include it. What we realized at we were at ILTA is, I was thinking about our pricing, like the $20 a month. It's like the cost of a Microsoft Office license or subscription. So, $240 a year or whatever, which is a normal price outside of legal tech. Like $20 a month is like a normal price for things. So we're like charging based on cost rather than based on how much we can charge.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like, I do think, because it's been, AI is going to change everything. We know this, right? That's obvious, but the cost per user and all these things is so artificially high in a lot of ways in the legal tech space. And I think it's almost like that boiled frog scenario, where people just maybe don't even think about it. Because when we're saying that to people, like, yeah, you could get Microsoft Word, or you could get like Canva or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, that's a normal price anywhere else. And I'm not saying, Canva and like some very, serious like LexisNexis or Westlaw, thing are comparable, but it's just, there's just a very, very wide gap there.
Yeah. You talked earlier about case text and it getting bought up by TR for $650 million. Well, we also just had VLEX and that had acquired Fastcase. And now VLEX was acquired by Clio for a nice, cool, even $1 billion. And so
You got to do that with the
know,
Dr. Evil thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's got to do the Austin Powers
Yeah.
finger. So how does this, I think, maybe open up an area where there may be an area to fill the innovation gap for affordable legal research out there. So how are you looking at this? Do you see that as a gap that needs to be filled?
Absolutely. And it's interesting because you kind of can do the case text describe thread, right? Like, and whether or not we end up, anywhere near that scale, TBD, but it's kind of a neat narrative. And so there's always somebody coming in to fill that space, right? And it probably will continue no matter what happens. But I think the lesson it gives me, and of course I care a lot about the access to justice, but the other lesson the market that I'm hearing from the market from this is just how important good data is right now. So like this legal research, we just almost seem to, our timing is almost perfect, where it's like this case law research, this kind of like clean data sets of like really good curated case law, and other things that Rich was mentioning before are really a hot commodity right now. And that's pretty exciting, to be honest. So yes, it's needed. But it's not only needed for the access to justice or sort of like open access to information, but I think the big players are also all realizing it's quite critical to their I don't know, to their business as well. I don't know what you guys think about that. You deal with this all day long. Does that strike a tone?
Yeah, the data, we've had multiple guests on in a row that talked about data's the new oil, data's the new electricity, data's the new whatever. And I think that's one of the things. In fact, the question that we've been asking them over and over again is, yes, the VLEXs, the case texts have been bought by the TRs and the Clios of the world. But since data is going to be, so important, does that open up the TRs and the Clios of the world to now be bought up by a Microsoft or an OpenAI?
Oh, interesting.
Something like that. So,
oh wow,
it's definitely something. I think you're seeing the processing power is improving, but the thing that has been kind of capped is the data. And so that's I think it's something that there's definitely a need for the data to be out there. So Marlene, any?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the challenges organizations face with data hygiene that they've
Right.
faced for years, I think it's catching up, because they want to use some of these new tools on the data, but if they don't have it structured and clean, then these wonderful high tech tools are not as effective.
In fact, they
And
cause
so,
harm,
yeah,
right?
and
They can make things worse.
They
Yeah.
can, and so I agree with you 100% that data is the focus.
there's
And
also this user expectation, I think, like when you go into these tools because of how fast, like there's so many amazing tools out there. I was at ILTACON, I was watching demos of some of the tools, and you could tell, as a software engineer, I could tell how much work went into these things, but there's an expectation from users that you could just go to one place and get everything now. And so if you're missing that one part of it, it's like the companies probably feel pressure to be like, I got to go get that piece because I can't offer everything in my
Even though they
right now.
don't solve everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, just try to get Copilot to search your Outlook inbox.
Oh God.
Yeah, but it's true. But like, and just back to like the data, and again, Rich is the data person. He's been working like giant, data sets for his whole life or whatever. But it's like the harm, like back to the harm thing, and that's the thing is if your data isn't clean, and I think no offense to anyone who's self-taught or like anything like that, or who's like attorney turned programmer, like the kind of complexity that some of these giant data sets have, and just the nuances is not for the weak of heart, right, Rich? I mean, you could say like the complexity in these things, and it's very easy, just like in statistics, right? You can look at statistics and tell any story you want. It may or may not be right, just depending how good you are at understanding statistics. So I think the data is kind of similar. Like you can mine all kinds of information from it, but if you're not getting the right outputs back, you've just set yourself back even further than if you didn't have it in the first place. I don't know, Richard, that makes sense.
No,
Now
that
you can
makes
make fun of me
sense.
for my marketing answer when I shouldn't be talking about data.
I don't dare make fun of you.
Smart man.
Well, I think that transitions well from AI to data and making sure things are clean. But one other thing is that we like to talk about a lot is the ethics around it. And you guys, in fact, I think this was announced kind of between the time we recorded last time and the time we published that you won the Anthem Award for ethical AI. And so I want to focus in on that and ask about the big issue since then has been, a lot of hallucinations. So
Yeah.
what safeguards, and I guess Rich, since you're the engineer on this one, what safeguards are you putting in to make sure that, tools like your Cytator are actually retrieving and grounded into the actual documents themselves and are not just making stuff up?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I am thankful that we're not a document generation platform. Like we don't create any documents and we don't call the LLM like I mentioned before. So the way we built our thing was just by giving concrete pieces of data and having the AI operate just on that thing. We don't go say augment it with this or go figure out things that are similar to this or whatever. It's like, here's some data, do this thing to it or figure out this thing about it, and then give us the results. So it has managed to keep our hallucinations down. I mean, but we do have a brief checker thing, which you could put your briefs in and it'll find hallucinated citations for you and also the treatment of them. Because, you may, even if you're perfect in yours, you might receive one from the other attorney. So you need to check what you receive too. So. Go
Yeah.
ahead,
So the
Tara.
way I was going to say, like, and this because you talk about this all day long, but if anyone says their tool or platform has zero hallucinations, you should say, yeah, bye-bye, thank you, right? And walk away
Yeah,
as fast as
it's a
you can.
feature, not a bug.
Exactly. And so, but because this is this closed, and Rich can explain it better, but this closed system where we're not like, hey, ChatGPT, or whatever, like calling out into this vast universe, like we're dealing with this closed set of information as it's queried, right, Rich? I mean, you can explain that better. Like it does minimize the potential for really weird stuff to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. By the time it gets to the point of being in our platform, we're basically doing database queries against previously generated stuff. So
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the answer to this question is what everybody's been waiting for, because Ilta Khan has been all over LinkedIn and the news. So that just wrapped up. I know you guys just got home, but what major announcements did you make there? What kind of reception did you get from the attendees while you were there?
Okay, so IltaCon was a trip. Like that was something. And so we've only done, and in a good way. So we've only been to we've only exhibited at two conferences. So we did Tech Show in Chicago, and then we did this one. And so in this one, we were in the Startup Hub. And it was really actually a lot of fun, because one thing, if any entrepreneurs are out there, like, these things are worth doing, because not only do you meet like potential clients or like bigger, partnership opportunities, but you meet the other startups like that are in your cohort, and it's really kind of fun. You start to make like friends, and people, and you start to talk about like ways you can work together. But ILTACon was I've been to a lot of conferences in other sort of parts of my life, and I have to say this was like one of the best run things I've ever seen, like, at least from a startup hub perspective. Like, it was so turnkey and easy, and we even couldn't like put our sign. It was like, it had to be exactly right, and everything was really good, but it was like a lot of food too, like so much
Yes.
food.
They do
Like,
feed you.
I know, and this is probably not the part you really cared about as much, but I was impressed how much food there was. And then
Oh, I always care
and
about that.
you even
That's
got
built
drink
into the
tickets.
price, by the way.
I know, we paid for it. But yeah, so you're right. So I'm like, just feed me and I'll be happy. No, but I was really impressed by just the organization of it. I was impressed by the kind of just the social interactions. It was very baked into the conference to have, and probably had to do with the venue, which was this place called the Gaylord National Harbor, whatever it was. Yeah. And it was almost like you were inside this little space bubble. I was saying to Rich one night when we were sitting there having a coffee or something, I said, this is probably what it's like, going to be like when we live on Mars. Like, you're just inside this giant glass bubble, and it's like a village, and you don't have to go anywhere. So it was really nice for like the social aspects. Obviously, all the different vendors are there. But it was definitely different in than Tech Show, in that it was not a lot of, at least for us, like a lot of like end users coming around. It was like the big people who are thinking about it in big scale, like either for big tech or, excuse me, for big law or things like that. But towards the end of the conference is when it got really interesting for us. That's when the big guys kind of came off the mountaintop and came down and started checking out what all those startups were doing, and that got really, really interesting.
A highlight for me was just having some people from just some of these larger companies come by and see what we're doing. It was really it was really cool. It was everybody, no one was acting like, oh, what are you guys doing, and we're gonna stomp you out. They were just really nice about the whole thing.
Right. And genuinely interested. And every time, of course, somebody from one of the bigger companies would leave, talk after Rich gave him a demo, I'd be like, what they say, what they say. And it was almost always the same answer, is that they don't understand how we're doing this. And like, they keep going. He said their jaws are kind of like hitting their chest and going, how did you do this? How did you do this? So we'll see. We'll see what that means. We'll see how many phone calls we get this week.
Oh,
Next week.
well, I'm curious now. What is your elevator answer to how are you doing this?
Okay, Rich, go.
How do you give it?
No, I mean, just we couldn't have done it a couple of years ago without AI. You hear about all the vibe coding and extra programming and all that, but if you already knew how to program really well, it could really kind of help accelerate things. And then also some of the things like we talked about before, like analyzing for case treatments, you couldn't have done without AI, because you needed, 1,000 human editors. So that's how we've done it, is with AI, I would say. I mean,
And
not
with
that our whole
Rich D.
platform's built on.
And with Rich,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Rich D. Like,
It's the
I
Rich
mean,
D secret sauce. That's what
it is. And he's going to be all humble because he's like that. But like, the kind of things he built, like, blows people's mind. People who are very, no, it's true. And I'm very proud of you, because the stuff you build is incredible.
All right, take the compliment, Rich.
Yeah, just take it.
Say thank you. Thank you, honey.
That's right.
All right. Well, I looked back and somehow you escaped our previous interview without us asking you the
We
crystal
didn't do the
ball
crystal
question.
ball. What?
And
You
I'm
asked
not
us
sure
the third
how we
question at
did
the end.
that.
I forget what it was.
We can't look back and say, you were right or wrong on this. So next
That's
time
good.
you come by in 10 more
But now we
months,
got to
we'll
set. Now we
ask
got to
you.
set the baseline.
So I wanted to know, we ask everybody our crystal ball question usually. So
Most of the
what
time.
change or challenge in the industry do you think we're going to be facing that we need to start preparing for now?
my facetious and obnoxious answer is we don't know if the law will even exist in 10 months. So we'll have to just, adapt to that. If we have no law, then I guess we won't need legal tech anymore.
Right.
That's not what you really wanted me to say. I would say that, and we were joking about it at the top of the call, but like that, 2 years ago felt like 1,000 years ago, and 2 years from now or 10 months from now is going to feel like 100 years from, today. So I think the pace of change is just going to continue to accelerate to an extent that we have never seen, and that's going to be very hard for all industries, but it's going to be particularly difficult for legal, because quick change and rapid innovation is not necessarily, I would say, a core strength for many in the legal industry. And feel free to disagree with me. And also just the pace of change means there's talent shortage, and it's hard to hire people to come into your firm, especially if it's a smaller firm or even a mid-sized firm, and help you with these transitions because labor is scarce. So I think we're entering a rapidly increasing change with some very serious competition for resources. I think that's going to be happening.
Yeah. Rich, anything to add? What does your crystal ball say?
Well, what I think about a lot of times, and this is why we started, like, we're always trying to think ahead of what we could work on next, because these models, even though people are criticizing GPT-5 and all that, it is super powerful, at least for some of the analysis stuff. Maybe it's not as good at being a boyfriend or girlfriend as people wanted, like the chat part, but the programming part and the analysis part is super powerful on this high reasoning. So I think about things getting commoditized a bit, and like, can you be sure that something that you put in to some of these advanced models will be that much worse or different than what you put into some of these advanced platforms? So
Yeah.
that's what I think about.
Nice. Well, Cara Peterson and Rich DiBona, I want to thank both of you for coming back. I know you're exhausted from your trip down to National Harbor, but thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
always get a little bit of spice when you have us on, because you never know what we're going to say.
That's right.
Absolutely. And we bring the spice. We like that.
Yes,
Thank you
we like
so
We're in
much.
Texas. We like spice. So
That's right.
And-
well, thank you. It's so good to see you guys.
And of course, thanks to all of you, our listeners, for taking the time to listen to the Geek and Review podcast. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a colleague. We'd love to hear from you, so reach out to us on LinkedIn.
All right. And Cara and Rich, if listeners want to learn more about what you're doing at Descrybe, where's the best place to point them?
Sure. Describe.ai, and that's with a Y. Or you can always find me on LinkedIn, which is apparently my second home, or maybe my first home. So always look for me there. And I really love to connect with everybody. So please reach out.
Okay, so Describe with a Y. And as always, the music you hear is from Jerry David DeSica. Thank you very much, Jerry.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.